Hey you cool cats and kittens. No, that's just not right. Alright everyone, I got something a little bit different for you today. I went on a South Dakota snow goose hunt with a couple college buddies of mine, and we had an absolutely incredible hunt out there. This is my first time doing anything like this. I've never traveled outside of the state to hunt waterfowl before, and I've never hunted snow geese before, so this is really cool. I've been wanting to do a hunt like this for a really long time, and my buddy Dylan texted me about 4 months ago and said, hey, I found a hunt, I got it lined up, do you want to do it? And of course I was in. This video is going to be just a little bit different because I wasn't able to film kind of as we went like I normally do. I wasn't able to do a whole bunch of interviews and stuff like that just because, to explain what was going on, just because the elements were really harsh out there for camera gear, and we were just honestly exhausted. It was a really difficult hunt, but we had a lot of fun and I got a lot of cool films, so I definitely wanted to share this hunt with you guys. So after Dylan had texted me and told me about this hunt and that we were gonna go on it, it was a couple weeks later, and he said, hey, I got a surprise for you. I'm gonna give it to you the day we leave for the hunt. And I couldn't think of what it was, and he told me that him and Kevin had gone in on something for me, and I was really anticipating what this was because I didn't know what these guys would get me. So I was thinking about that on the way down, and the plan was we were gonna meet at Dylan's house and then drive out to South Dakota from there where the outfitter was. Pulled into Dylan's house, and I knew right away he was gonna have my surprise for me because he told me that's what we were gonna do. I walked in, and sure enough, it was great. We saw each other. We haven't seen each other in quite a while. You know, we said hello, and then he busted out the surprise for me, and then he put his dad in on the surprise too because his dad didn't know about it.
Oh, check that out.
What do you think?
That's sweet. What the hell is growing wild?
What the hell is growing wild?
Already am wild. That's sweet, dude. Thank you.
So, if you look, there's names embroidered on the hoods.
Sweet, dude. Yeah.
So obviously that was awesome. Dylan hooked me up with some really cool sweatshirts for the hunt, kind of customized for a snow goose hunt. And then these hats that I'm actually wearing right now. As you can tell, Nick, Dylan's dad, didn't really know what Growing Wild was, and no one really told him that I would be videotaping the whole experience. So I had to explain to him what Growing Wild was and kind of what I do. So that was kind of funny. And I just want to thank Dylan and Kevin. That was really cool, you guys. You know, I've wanted to get apparel for a long time, and it's just not something that I've been able to put the money into yet. So that was super cool. I can't thank you guys enough for that. That was those are some awesome sweatshirts for the hunt. And then, I wear this hat every day now, so thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. The trip from Dylan's house was supposed to be about 9 hours, and we hit the road. Everything was going good until we got to the west side of Iowa, and we ran into a snowstorm. And this wasn't just any old snowstorm. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm used to driving in the snow. I've seen some pretty crazy blizzards, but this was like stop dead whiteout conditions. You couldn't move. There were several times we had to pull over on the side of the road and just wait until the snow kind of calmed down just a little bit so we could drive. And then for the last, when we hit about an hour and a half to go on the GPS, it took us another 3 hours because we were driving at 20-25 miles an hour on the highway. It was just crazy, and at one point three semis collided. Alright, we are officially stuck on the highway. There are 2 semis that are either off the road or in the ditch or something, and traffic is at a complete stop. How many miles away are we doing? About 100. We're about 100 miles away from the lodge, and it's just been a crazy snowstorm. We've been having to drive like 25 miles an hour on the highway, and now we're at a complete stop. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do. This is gonna be interesting to say the least.
We were gonna try and pave a way for everybody, but
I think we can come up this side
and then make it in front of him.
Yeah.
All right. Tons of room. There, he just waved you.
We we had to stop and wait for them to get things figured out, to get pulled out and let us get around them. It was just absolutely crazy. I don't think I've ever driven in worse conditions than that before. So we finally got out there. I don't know what it was, 2 in the morning, we got there at about 1 in the morning. By the time we got unpacked and everything like that, kind of settled in, we met Kevin there. It was about 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, he's getting a bit younger. The other guy's a little younger.
We made it. Home sweet home for the rest of the weekend.
Too bad it's not our camper.
It'll do though.
We went to bed full of anticipation for the morning's hunt.
What you think?
I think it's gonna be more cold morning.
Think it's gonna be a good morning or what? Birds? No birds?
I can feel it. I think it's gonna be awesome. Like we're gonna have beginner's luck.
I don't think you realize who you brought out on this trip with you.
Yeah, true.
Alright. We woke up here at 5 o'clock, getting all dressed, ready to go. We're gonna meet the guides out at the lodge, and then the spread and everything's already set up, I guess, right, Kevin?
As far as I know, yeah.
We don't really know what's going on. We didn't talk to the guides at all last night. Kevin did for a little bit. A couple hours of sleep. And
2-3 beers later.
yeah, we're gonna try to get after it now.
So we woke up the first morning. We were tired but super excited. We got all packed up. We were staying in a camper just a couple 100 yards down the road from the main lodge that everyone else was at. So we drove to the main lodge and met with the guides, and they kind of told us a game plan, and we followed them to the field.
Did you get shells, Dylan?
We just grabbed some box. I'll get it for you.
Now the snowstorm really surprised everyone. It wasn't in the forecast. It kind of came out of nowhere. It was a huge front that came through, but we got probably 6 or 7 inches of snow, and we got out to the spread, and there's 4,000 socks that are full of snow and ice, and they're completely iced out. And the guides started dumping the socks out, dumping the snow out of the socks, and kind of busting some of the ice off of them. And we're out there. We're not afraid to get do a little bit of work and help out. So for the first 2 hours of the morning, all of us were dumping socks out, pouring snow, busting the ice off, and just kind of getting the spread ready to go, which ended up not being a problem at all because we didn't see any birds right away at first sight. But we were happy to help, and we got our spread set up nice, and everything was looking good. And our guide said, about 10 o'clock, I think we're gonna start seeing some birds. So once we got the socks kind of dumped out and everything going, we wanted to make it look like there was birds feeding in this area. So the guide hopped on the Argo, and Jim, our guide, started just ripping the field up, making it look like these birds were in there milling around feeding. So that was pretty cool, and I think it really helped our setup because we were the only bare ground for a long ways away. Everything else was snow covered, and we had big open patches in this cornfield. So as the day kind of got going, closer to 9 o'clock, we had our first couple flocks come over, and we pulled a couple birds. It was really cool to see. This isn't like hunting Canada's around here in Wisconsin. These birds are way up there, and it's just so cool to see. There'll be a huge flock flying over, and a single or a double will break off, and when they dump very quickly, it's just super cool. All of a sudden, they're a mile up in there, and all of a sudden, they're hovering there at 150 yards, checking things out, and they slowly circle. So we picked up our first. A single came in, and then a double came in, and we got those two, and Dylan was able to shoot his first Ross. He was super stoked about that.
He's right here.
Kill it!
My first Ross.
And as the day went on, we just kept seeing more and more birds, and they were coming from the north back down south. They were kind of reverse migrating because of that huge front that came through. And when I say I think we saw millions of birds that day, it was just incredible. These huge lines. At times the skies were just white for as far as you can see. These flocks had thousands and thousands of birds in them. It was nothing to look up and see 15,000 birds at a time. It was absolutely crazy. And we were hunting all day, so as all these flocks were coming over, lots of them were just migrating back, heading straight over. But we'd pull a single or a double or pull, 8 here and have them work, and it was really cool. And So one of my biggest goals for going out there is I wanted to shoot a blue goose. We don't really get many here in Wisconsin. I've only seen a couple shot here by anyone that I know. So I really wanted a blue goose because it just has some sentimental value to me, and I've always wanted to get one mounted and hang it up in the cabin. So that was my biggest goal. And at one point there was a flock that came in. I think it was a triple, and there was 2 Rossies and a blue, and everyone kind of knew my goal. And it was a little bit further of a shot, but the guide called it, and we pulled up, and I hit this blue goose 2 or 3 times. I saw that I hit it, I drew feathers, but he just kept on sailing away, and all day I was just so mad about that. I can't believe I didn't, kill that blue. I can't believe I didn't kill that blue. I can't believe he got away, because we pulled the other 2 out of the flock. So I was feeling pretty discouraged. I was feeling kind of like I let the group down, because I feel like they might have gave me that blue goose to shoot at, and I let them get away. So I was pretty bummed about that, but all in all, we all killed our first snows that day. Dylan got his first Ross. I think we all shot Rosses that day, actually. It was just cool. It was a completely different experience that I've never seen before, and we knew we were in for a pretty good weekend. So after our first day's hunt, we headed back to the camper, and we were just exhausted between only getting 2 hours of sleep and sitting out all day. The other thing was we weren't packed for this trip. I mean, we weren't expecting this blizzard, and while we were out there, the wind was still ripping, snow was blowing in our face. It was much colder than what they had forecasted, so we didn't really pack for weather like this. And we were feeling pretty beat up. I mean, the wind was blowing in our face. We all had windburn. We all kind of got sunburned because it's springtime in Wisconsin. We've been inside, cooped up all winter. We just didn't think about sunscreen or anything like that, so we were all windburnt and sunburned. We had a good hunt, and we got back to the camper, and I can't thank our guides enough. From Extreme X-Men Waterfowl Guide Services, our guide Jim, that was my favorite part of the whole hunt, was just the camaraderie with the guides that were there. They were all awesome. They're all super down to earth. It was a really cool, outfit. I have never hunted at waterfowl outfitters before, but I've seen a couple outfitters and kind of how they work, and they're a little bit to themselves, and these guys were right in there. You'd think they came out on the trip to hunt with us, that they weren't our guides, they were just hunting buddies. They were super awesome to be around. So Jim stopped over, or that is a second night after our first day of hunting, and we were all pretty beat and pretty tired. I think we had 1 or 2 beers together, and then we hit the hay to get ready for the next morning's hunt. So we woke up the next day for the second hunt. We knew we were going back to the same field. We were super excited just because we thought, this would be a little bit better of a day, because the birds had time to cool down after that, blizzard. We knew the blizzard kind of threw them off a little bit, so we figured we'd have a little bit more regular activity. And with this whole coronavirus thing that's going on, we got kind of thrown a surprise. There was a group of guys coming from Iowa, and one of the guides that was supposed to be with them just couldn't make it because of all this just madness that was going on. This is kind of right in the beginning of that. So these guys from Iowa were hunting with us, and we went back in the same layout binds, got set up, and at first we weren't so sure about these Iowa guys. They missed a pretty easy solo.
He's hurt. He's hurt. Shoot his ass.
Oh my god.
Trigger.
But they ended up being pretty good dudes. We hunted with them all day. We killed, quite a few more.
Kill him! Kill him! Well, we didn't get stuck.
It was just another day that, just consistent birds, thousands of birds over us all day long, and consistently pulling some here and some there.
Kill him! Woohoo! Coming back. Kill this one behind you, right on top. Kill him! Yes!
But this day we came a little bit more prepared. We kind of weren't ready for an all-day hunt, and we got pretty hangry during the day on the first day. So we packed a little bit of a lunch and a portable grill. So at about 10, 11 o'clock, we kind of pulled out of the field a little bit, walked down to the bottom of the hill and started grilling out. We had some bacon and eggs and Polish sausage, and it was just a great pick-me-up for the day. Jim came down again. These guides were just awesome. He came down, ate breakfast with us. They had another guide up at the hill hunting with the Iowa guys. I just can't thank these guides enough. That was, again, just my favorite part about this whole hunt. So after our second day of hunting, we killed a few birds. I got my blue. I finally got my blue. A good pack of, I think, 9 came in, and there was a blue out front, and the guy he knew he had heard me complaining all day, so he called the shot when this blue was right in front of me. So I finally got my blue, and then the rest of the guys pulled like 6 more birds out of that backpack. So that was really cool. That was a fun little volley we had. And again, I don't have as many shots on film as normal because it was so cold and windy out there. Every time I put my camera out on the tripod to film the birds and to film the shooting, it would die immediately. So I'd throw the camera inside of my bibs against my body, and it would warm up, and then I could use a little bit. So I got some stuff here and there, but film doesn't do our trip justice. I wasn't able to film near as much as I would have liked to or should have. So we did kill quite a few birds. It was a lot of fun. So after the second day's hunt, we headed back to camp, and we were all stoked because we killed more birds, we had a bunch of fun, and we knew we had steaks for the girl that night. So we were super, super excited about that. What we didn't know was all the guides had steaks too, and all the guides came over to our camper. We grilled out steaks and just hung out with everyone. It was super fun. We ate steak, we ate some backstraps. It was just a great time bonding with all these guides out there again. These guys, it wasn't like they were our guides. They were just hunting buddies in camp, sitting there BSing, telling stories, talking smack. It was just a great time. And that second night out there after the second day of hunting, that was my highlight of the whole trip. Just being there with everyone, talking together, telling stories. It was just so much fun, and that was my highlight for the whole trip. So we woke up on our last morning out there, and again, we were just still super exhausted. Just not a whole lot of sleep while we were out there. Conditions were rough. We were feeling pretty beat up. I kind of wanted to sleep in late, but I eventually got my butt out of bed, and we got out to the blinds again for the third day. So we knew this last day was only going to be a half day because actually the guides had to get back to their home states because of all of the shutdowns. We had got some warning texts that they were thinking about shutting down state lines. So we all knew we had to, kind of quit hunting around 11 or 12. So that we could all get packed up and head home because we all had long trips home. But, we still managed to kill a few birds. I think we killed 12 or 13 birds in that half day. Another great day of hunting. Guides did a super good job for us. And then we knew it was time to pack up and head out. So we were out in the field anyway. We knew it was going to be a lot of work for 1 or 2 guides to do by themselves. So we just helped them pack up all the socks, get everything kind of taken care of, get the blinds cleaned out, and then we got everything stacked up. So all they had to do was drive the trailer out there, load it up, and go. So we were definitely happy to help our guides out that way. Again, they just took such good care of us. We figured it was the least we could do. And then, we got back to camp. Kevin and I got to work on the birds. We cleaned them up, got packed up as fast as we could, and headed home. It was a long drive home. I got back to Dylan's house at about 1 in the morning, and then I had another 2 hours back to my house. So I was exhausted when I got home, but the trip was definitely worth it. I can't thank our guides enough. Again, I know I've been talking a lot about them, but I'll brag them up. They did an excellent job out there. They were the highlight of the trip. They did awesome. If you guys are looking into a snow goose hunt, check out Extreme X-Men Waterfowl Guide Services. They do an excellent job on snow goose hunts. I will put a link to their Facebook page and stuff below in the videos, so make sure to check that out. I also just want to thank Dylan for putting this together. He kind of did the legwork as far as finding the guides, talking with them, getting things booked, just doing all of that. He did all the legwork for that, so thank you, Dylan, so much. This trip was so awesome. Thank you for roping me into it and making me come along. And Kevin, thank you for tagging along with us. We know you had a long trip too. So it was just a great time with 2 college buddies that I haven't seen in quite a while. We used to hunt waterfowl all the time together in college, and things have just changed. We're growing up, we got jobs, girlfriends, families, kids, stuff like that. So we just don't get to do this stuff as much as we used to. And it was great to get to do that. So I just want to thank you guys for watching this video. Again, I apologize. I know there isn't as much film as there should have been. It was just really rough filming conditions. We were in layout blinds. It was cold. I know I'm making excuses, but it was just tough out there. And then I wanted to get some shooting in. I wanted to pull the trigger a couple times. So I apologize for that. I can assure you though, we got a lot more shooting in than you saw in this video. It was a blast. We killed plenty of birds. We just had a riot out there. So thank you for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I got lots of content coming, hunting and fishing videos. Trout season's fast approaching, and then, you know, during this whole coronavirus lockdown and stuff, I got a freezer full of wild game that I'm going to be doing some cooking videos with. So if you want some wild game cooking inspiration, make sure to keep an eye out for those. So thank you again for checking out the channel. Please hit subscribe and give this video a like. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.